Let's return to the wider Middle East and what happened in Jordan over the last 48 hours. Let's bring in our security and defence analyst, Michael Clarke, for more on this. So Michael, we heard from Antony Blinken saying that the US response could be sustained over time. I mean, how long, in theory, and what could it look like?
Yeah, I mean, he's saying, Jane, that, our response won't be a one-off. It will be a time and place of our choosing, and it will continue, and it will be ramped up. So it'll be progressive. And he's used all these phrases to indicate that in the past they've produced one-off attacks which were meant to be graduated response just to show that they're not going to take it lying down. But what he's saying is that this has crossed the line, the death of service personnel and the wounding of a lot more, and that therefore that this is what deterrence is all about. Because in deterrence you have to, as it were, commit the act that you're going to commit to actually hurt an opponent or bother them, but you've got to imply that more will follow unless they think again. And so this is an attempt to make Iran and say, look, think again, because this won't be a one-off. It'll be a progressive process. We're taking you on now in response to this behaviour. So that's really what his message is about. But, of course, he's giving nothing away about what the targets might be and what they might do. And, of course, it might not all be military. It might be sanctions. It might be cyber. There's all sorts of so-called non-kinetic things they might do as well. But the world will be looking for a kinetic, a military response as part of the package.
Meanwhile, US officials have said that what happened with the drone strike in Jordan, that there was a mix-up which led to the tower having its defence system switched off. I mean, that is a big error, isn't it, if it leads to the death of 3 service? Yeah,
it looks like it at the moment. Tower 22, which is in this crazy space between Jordan and Iraq and Syria. And Tower 22, a lot goes on there. With the Al-Tanf base over the border in Syria. There's a 50-kilometre area, a zone, a safe zone, in which the Americans operate on the Syrian side of the border, where they've trained anti-regime elements during the teeth of the Syrian civil war, and they've still got that base. And they've got drones coming in and out all the time. It looks as if they misidentified an incoming drone for one of their own, which is not so difficult to do, but you'd think that they would be very careful just at the moment. So it just looks at the moment like operator error to open the gates, as it were, for their own drone to come home and then finding that there was an enemy drone in there first.
Meanwhile, back to Jerusalem and what's going on closer there. We were just talking to Alistair Bunkle. There have been reports of an IDF raid on a hospital, not in Gaza, but in the West Bank.
In Jenin.
What do you know about that, and what do you read?
Yeah, it came through this morning. There seems to be no dispute about the basic facts, is that a special forces group of about 12 Israeli special forces went into Jenin, which is a Palestinian city in the West Bank. And this is the footage, and they disguised themselves. Of the 12, 3 of them were disguised as medics, 2 of them were disguised, were women, and they looked as if they were locals. But they were all IDF special forces, and they went up to a room which they knew about, a hiding room in which there were 3 Hamas individuals, one of whom was injured, and they shot them. Now, Hamas have not disputed that those 3 individuals were Hamas, and they were in this room upstairs. So they had some intelligence, and they took on the hospital and went and shot them. Now, the issue about that is we know that Israel are going for Hamas people everywhere, and there's some legal justification for that, given who Hamas are and what they do. But in sheer tactical terms, to behave like Hamas, to dress up as medics and move in, not in uniform as special forces, but to be an assassination squad that looks very like a Hamas assassination squad, is what Hamas would do, I think is tactically very questionable. And it will certainly convince all of the anti-Israeli opinion out there that the Israelis are terrorists.
OK, Michael, interesting footage. Thank you very much.